So with this video, we are going to start a series of videos that will talk about objects, and we'll start by talking about arrays. Now, while writing our programs, it will be very common to encounter a situation when we will need to group some kind of values that share something in common, and we can do this by using arrays. An example would be to group a series of numbers. So say I want to group the numbers I like the most. So I will have an array, and we declare arrays by square brackets. And inside the square brackets, we put some values. And in order to differentiate the values that we want inside the array, we use commas. As we see here, we are declaring a constant variable, and we are assigning to this constant variable an array. So since we are assigning an array to a variable, and we know that variables are capable to hold values, we know that an array must be some kind of values. In fact, an array is a value and can hold other values, as we see here. If we try to print the content of my favorite numbers, we see that when accessing the my favorite number variable, then this variable gets evaluated to her value, and the value of my favorite numbers is an array, and so printing an array results in this value, which is of course the array we wrote here. Now, in order for us to access a specific value, say I want to access the first value of an array, we need to use the square brackets right after the name of the variable that is holding the array, or we could also use the square brackets right after the array itself. So by using the square brackets right after an array, we are able to access a specific value. And if you have done the exercises from the previous video, you'll know that the same can be done with strings. In fact, we can see also string as a series of single characters, and under the hood, the strings are in fact just an array of single characters. Only in JavaScript, this is hidden. And so writing hello, square brackets 0, and writing hello as a string and followed by square brackets with a 0 gives us the same result. So if you saw the previous video, you'll know for sure that you can access the first value of an array by using the 0. And this is true because arrays are indexed starting from 0. So if we want the first value, we do not have to put 1 here, but we have to put 0. So 0 accesses the first element, 1 accesses the second, 2 the third, and so on. So if I comment out the array itself and I want to print the first number and then the second number, I'm doing this by using the 0 and the 1, and by running the program we see that we get in fact 2 as the first value printed and 42 as the second, which is of course the second of the array. Now we can know how many values an array does contain by writing the variable of the array or the array itself followed by a dot and a length, and this will tell us the actual length of the array, and in this case will be 4 since there are 4 elements in the array, and actually this 4 is the length of the array. And it is important to mention that if you want to access the last element of the array, you would have to write the my favorite numbers in this case, since this is the name of the array, length, or how many elements there are here. But now you need to remember that in order to access a value, you need to provide a number that start counting from 0. So actually providing my favorite numbers dot length, which return 4, is actually asking to access the fifth element of the array, and this will give us undefined since there is no fifth element here. So in order to access the last element, we'll have to ask for the length minus 1 element of the array, and in this case this will be 4. So 4 minus 1 is 3. So we are asking the third index of the array, and this is the last element. If we run the program, we see that this is the previous output where this line was not present. So this is the last call to console log, and that call has returned the the last value of the array. Now, at least in JavaScript, we don't have to put the same type of values in an array. In fact, we can declare array that contains various types. In this array, as an example that I called some random stuff, I grouped some boolean, number, and strings all inside one array. And actually, since an array is also a value, you could also store another array, and you can keep doing this forever. Actually, you could store potentially infinite arrays, even if at a certain point you'll run out of memory. Now, there is an important operator that we can use with arrays, and this operator is the spread operator, and is particularly useful when we want to unwrap the values that are grouped inside the array. And this is exactly what the spread operator does with arrays. And if we launch the program, we see that the only console log here is this one, and the output is 1, 2, and 3. And that would have been different without the spread operator. In fact, without the spread operator, we would have printed out an array, and that array would have shown also its values. But with the spread operator, we unwrap the values inside the array, and so this call is as doing this call. So calling console log with 3 arguments, and we see that doing this with the spread operator uh, and, and an array, or doing the row console log with only the values as parameter, gives us the same result. And of course, this is quite useless if done with row arrays, since we could just write the arguments as here. But it is actually useful if we want to do the same with an array that is inside a variable, and we may not know the exact array, and that will work. In fact, we will just print the values without the array, as we do here. Here we call only the variable without the spread operation, and in the first case we get the full array. In the second case, we get only the values of the array. So in this video, we had a look at the array value, and we saw how it is useful to group various values. If this video was useful to you, please consider to subscribe to the channel, and also do not forget to like the video. In any case, I thank you for your time, and we'll see you in another video. Bye bye.